When we look at something and try to establish a value, how do we do that? If we're looking at a car or a home, what is the method we employ to determine its value? Comparison. That's exactly right. And if I can compare you to somebody else, if the conversation with you sounds like the conversation with someone else, now I have my basis for establishing what you're worth to me. How do you raise your value? By becoming incomparable. By having a value proposition that is intangible. What do I mean by that? It's felt, but it's not measurable. And I'm going to walk you through those values here in a moment. It can't be replicated by software or hardware or websites. It enables you to own key space in the client's mind and in the client's heart. And that is the product of the direction you take in conversation. So I want to talk to you about values that are felt as well as seen. That's the people side of this business. So, what is ROL? ROL, my job, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is not just to help you get a good return on your investments, but it's to help you get a great return on life. What is return on life? It's getting the best life you can with the money you have. The best life you can with the money you have. And I need to help you allocate your resources, which are money and time, in a way that helps you get the best return on your life. That's the core value proposition. A value proposition is a promise that you're making to your prospects and clients. You better make sure it's a promise you can keep. And when you look at this value proposition, I'm going to do my best to help you get the best life you can with the money you have. That's a promise you can keep. Now, I find that when we get into discussions like this, sometimes the language fails us, so I've created a few words to help the discussion. First of all, practicide. This is building a practice designed to kill you. How many of you are familiar with this term? Then there's the term entrepreneur. That's where you end up when you end up going out on your own. And then value proposition, I spell it V-A-L-Y-O-U, and I'll tell you what this is. It's a value proposition that first and foremost is good for you. Then it's good for your client. Then it's good for your business. If it's not good for you, if you don't wake up, here's your acid test. Do you wake up in the morning with joy and excitement and zeal for what you're about to do and face? If you don't wake up with joy and zeal and excitement about what you're about to do and face that day, then your job is enervating you, not energizing you, and that is a sign or a symptom of having the wrong value proposition in your business. There is absolute transcendent joy when you're doing the thing you're designed in your DNA to do, and you're doing it well. And so a value proposition says, I'm going to run this business in a way that fills me with energy and joy. It helps my clients. It's good for all the people that work with me. Everybody is enjoying this ride. That's a value proposition. Now here, it's been said that a picture's worth 1,000 words and a metaphor's worth 1,000 pictures. Here's a metaphor. Clients love this. This is the dilemma they face. They feel like the hamster in the wheel chasing the money around and around and around. How many of you know clients that feel that way, right? I'm not going to ask if you feel that way. And so what do they do when you get tired? Well, they used to change the denomination to a higher denomination until you keep running. Now they tell you you're lucky to be in the wheel. The golden handcuffs have now turned into the rusty handcuffs. That's ROI. That's the ROI life, just chasing the dollar and hoping to have a life someday. The ROL picture is the sale. The money is the utility we skillfully manipulate in order to navigate. Money management is the manipulation of resources. Notice that the money isn't the shore we're sailing toward. The money isn't the sea we sail upon. The money isn't the boat or the passengers on that boat. The money is nothing more than a utility. When we make money out to be something more than a utility in life, it destroys our lives. How many of you have seen it over and over again? When you make money out to be too much, it destroys your life. Money is a utility that we skillfully work with in order to navigate. And you are the captain they hire to work the ropes. You're in the wisdom business. And I want to teach you a simple phrase if you're not using it already. What is it that you do? I help people make wise financial decisions. I've had a strange and circuitous route to the realm of money. I'm an accidental tourist in financial services. I stumbled in here 12 years ago and I can't get out. Do you know how I first encountered money and life issues? I started a suicide helpline in Iowa during the farm crisis of the early 80s. Every day I was picking up the Des Moines Register and reading about a farmer who'd had his land foreclosed upon and hung himself in his barn. Took me a year to start this helpline. I'll never forget the first day we turned it on, 9 farmers called us. And I'll never forget the first conversation I had with this man. Do you know how this crisis came into his life? A poorly informed financial decision. He borrowed money he shouldn't have borrowed to buy something he didn't need, over-leveraged himself, did it at a time when land values were inflated. Does this sound familiar to anybody? Does this sound a little bit like modern times? What's happened to an awful lot of people? And his decision was not only going to destroy his life, but the family he left behind. And fortunately, we talked him out of that decision. But I realized right then and there that so many of life's dilemmas are tied to poorly informed financial decisions. So your business primarily, your value here. And ask yourself, can I keep this promise to my client? Think of how exciting this is. Can I keep this promise? My job is to help you make wise financial decisions.